All right, everybody, thank you for watching that commercial break, and of course, thank you for checking out the ads from Ting. I know that not all of you are going to have this even be applicable to you. The majority of our audience, though, believe it or not, even when we run events at like 3 a.m. in the morning, still ends up being American. For whatever reason. You crazy dedicated bastards, you. And we thank you guys for it. Ting is a really awesome company to be working with, though. I will say that there's no shilling here where, Zombie are selling your souls. We're not selling our souls for like thousands of dollars or anything like that. But I actually have zero problem advertising for Ting. I think that they do business well. I think they do business right. And I really like that they're very honest about it. People always come in and talk about like, well, my current plan gives me blank. It's so much better than Ting. And Ting will tell you straight up, like on their website, if you talk to any of the representatives, they will be the ones that tell you, well, stick with your current plan. We just want to help people who we can help, right? It's not about grabbing customers for them. It's about actually being a good business. So, again, I'm more than happy to be playing those in-stream ads for them. And thank you guys for watching. That being said, we are officially in the other preliminary match, a brand new best of 3, and this one is going to feature 2 awesome players. In the top left, we have the Red Zerg. It's going to be Splice's Solar.
In the bottom right, the pink Protoss. He is Zest.
I just realized Solar's had a pretty good job keeping... I just had the word. Was it when each word starts with a consonant? Alliteration. He's done a really great job with alliteration when it comes to his teams. Samsung, Solar, Zerg. Well, it's not an S. It sounds kind of like it. You got now Splice's Solar.
Yeah, he's been on 2 teams and both start with an S.
By the way, gotta do a bit of a shout out to Splice because they've been really awesome actually. Whether we've been casting Solar or stats, they're usually tweeting about our matches or like even doing little clips and screenshots. I really love when teams take that extra effort. It means a lot, so I think it's really cool. And shows that they actually care, and it's not just like, well, I'm not gonna smack talk them, but like take Team Expert for example. They don't really do anything. Like I'm so glad they're sponsoring players, and I'm very happy that Beyond and Scarlet and Bly all have a great team to be on together. But at the same time, like I've never seen any social media out of them. I don't know what they're doing. I don't even remember they're a team half the time because nobody's even required to use their tags, right? So like I just want to say like Splice is a good example of someone doing it right.
If I had $1 million and I bought a player, no, I'd still want them to use my clan tag. I'd make them use the caster clan tag with the butts on it.
I feel, despite what people sometimes think of me, I don't have that big of an ego, and even I wouldn't be like, well, you should use this because it's my name. But I would be like, look, we got a team. Let's represent the team. Let's build up the team.
Yeah. If there was no obligation, like I wasn't trying to attract sponsors, I'm saying like I still would want them to be kind of like troll at very least. Like, do I have to? Yes, you have to. Why? Because it makes me laugh.
It's like, well, on that note with sponsors too, it's like Team Liquid doesn't even require them to use Team Liquid. They just like HyperX is like the clan tag and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right. Brand sponsors, man, they're pretty cool. I had another point. I thought it was about one of these guys, but I don't remember it, so never mind.
Well, I do want to give a small little nod to Solar, by the way, before we get into builds or even the action kicks off. Solar's another one of the players you guys will be seeing in the near future as I tap my nose. Some of you may already be figuring out what I'm referring to. But supposedly he might be going over to the BaseTradeTV house later today to hang out with the folks on the 24-hour stream. Yeah,
that's cool. They're going to have a lot more difficult a time finding players to come over when it's 4 in the morning, but...
Well, I saw a clip on Reddit during the ad break. Leenox sleeping on the couch and Jake basically jumping on him.
Oh yeah, that happened. So rude. Well, it's a fun time, I guess, going on there. So, we do have the builds. So Solar opened up with like a speedling opener, like 1 base, but it was just to make sure that he could deal with any adept pressure pretty easily. Because if they go for a double like gateway opener and you just like don't have very much, then you're probably gonna take a lot of damage. But they really just uses it to, still play a macro game, which is fine. And then of course Zest goes for resonating glaives. I say of course because Solar did already scout this. It's not too hard to scout, being you have a decent overload position to suicide in if necessary. He didn't have the suicide in, he just kind of like went over to the right and then went back over to the left. And they both know what each other are doing, so Solar should have no problem, really, defending against the Resonating Glaives push, and it just really comes down to a question of, does Zest even really commit to it? Or does he just use it to take a fast, or safe third base, rather, not really that fast? that's the song. Yeah.
Well, actually, do you want to point out how weird it is to see resonating glaives coming out of Zest?
So I know he was really doing only the Dark Shrine thing for like, I don't know, it was like a month.
A month
where he was
straight,
only
it was
doing
the only build and no variation, no deviation.
Yeah.
Tournament play,
But
ladder play, didn't matter.
He's changed in the last, I want to say, 3 weeks, basically. He's done different. And it really, I think, still comes down to either Dark Shrine or the Resonating Glaives, but he even has a couple other builds. So he doesn't dedicate to this. Oh, no, he does. Okay. So...
Okay, I don't know about canceling that shit. I mean, he had no way to know the roaches were popping down here, but the fact that the drones had already been pulled should have been a pretty good indicator that Solar was ready to deal. Now, even if the queen goes down, which she won't, by the way, he does go through to the main. He's looking for some more kills, but this has given away a lot of army supply, and it hasn't traded out that well yet.
I think it was really seeing a lack of speedlings. Because, well, the speedlings potentially take time, I guess, to kill the units, or maybe they can get into a good mineral line. The point is, like, they're not being surrounded. They can kind of outrun the roaches, at least for a little bit. But I don't know if Zest should have done that. He was prepared to just back off. That's why he shaded out originally.
Well, I was curious if Solar was going to go into droning to make up for those losses / saturate the third, or if he was just going to all-in off the back end of that. I actually think an all-in wouldn't have been too bad of an idea. He already knows the Mothership Core popped 2 overcharges, and that he just killed a majority of Zest's units. Like that could have been some pretty scary damage, but at the same time, just macroing up is not a bad option for Solar either. He's a very solid macro player, so give him some drones, give him some money. This guy will do wonders.
If he saw the third base was taken, he might have just made units, and he wasn't supply blocks. That's a whole other issue. Now he just saw it taken, knows it's like pretty safe. No timing. Has to have a pesky War Prism.
Roach speed's only about halfway done, so respond to this is going to be a little bit annoying, but it's still totally doable. I mean, for Solar, it's going to take a lot to truly catch him off guard. He's very reactive too, and I don't know if this just comes from like years of fighting as Terran or not, but he's very quick to pull the drones back, especially when he sees those adepts nearby. A lot of sentries kill an Overlord, but that's a pretty big thing to note too, that there are in fact a lot of sentries. So Solar may want to consider getting a couple of Ravagers just to deal with those force fields.
Usually a good thing to add in no matter what. Hey, they'll have a lot of energy by the time Zest pushes, and Zest, if he controls his army, like, you know, safely, basically, he could push almost at any time just to scare Solar a little bit. Probably just going to wait for that +1 and Blink, though. That would be the safer, more standard option than trying to poke and prod. Because in some ways, Paladin and Terminal can, like, look like Nat Dasson Station Arena, there we go, where that little choke in the middle can kind of be abused and kind of baited even. And they just force field out. But obviously, it's not quite the same. Especially if they make on the rock, which Solar starts to do. This is going to push up the top side. This will time out with +1, but Blink still has a little way to go, so he still has to be very careful. But he's not abusing the middle of the map. He is still trying to take advantage of at least somewhat of a choke with that ramp if he had to. But I really think this is just, yeah, scaring Solar. And now he's the one that's a little bit scared, I think, realizing that Solar is on the warpath. Well, not going for a 4th base, not up to 70 drones. He's just making an army now.
It's really important that he scouts and confirms that, by the way, like send that new observer over just to double check, but he sees so much army, it's kind of like you don't need the scout to realize Solar's dedicating to this. The Warp Prism flies past the army, and I'm actually not so worried about counter warp-ins, but I almost want him just having that at home so he can micro the Immortals a little bit better, you know?
Sometimes that is the much better option. The force fields try their best to hold on, and he does have quite a few more, but he's running out of fodder to protect the sentries, and now they're going down.
He takes a really cost-effective start to the fight. Solar actually just threw away a lot to barely break a pylon. So that ends up being not too bad for Zest so far, but at the same time, ooh, it got scary. Zest's army supply is still down quite a bit. +1 weapons is nice, but
he's taking out Ravager eggs that are supposed to give you fresh, you know, full health Ravagers. That's pretty good. I accidentally killed one of his own Stalkers and then also lost a sentry lot of energy just to focus fire from Solar. All these little, you know, pickoffs are pretty important to note. Solar is trying to get the most out of this army. He does now throw on a 4th base and might even add on, like, yeah, 10 more drones and try and expand out of Roach Ling. Zest has done a decent job holding so far, and he still has a bit of pressure available because that Warp Prism is still roaming around. Blink is done. +2 is probably going to finish. I don't think Solar... I think Solar realizes the 2. He's not going to be able to break Zest, as tempting as that looked. And disengaging seems to be the best option. So that Warp Prism, I don't know if it was it might have been patrolling. I thought, yeah, it is patrolling. Every time I looked, I thought maybe he was like F2ing or it was hot heating correctly and he was like bringing it back, but he's just looking for reinforcements, seeing how much dedication there was.
It's the indecisiveness, why? Also, I am now officially on high alert and worried as I see Flotch has entered the chat. His Zestdar went off, I guess. So shout out to Flotch, the world's creepiest but most dedicated and passionate Zest fan.
Well, I'm not sure what to say to that.
I think that's what you just nod. You're like, yeah, that's a pretty accurate description.
Yeah, all right then.
Okay, this drop really hasn't done much. Actually, I'm just surprised. Zest has taken amazing defensive fights, but had zero luck on the offense. And unfortunately, I don't know if you can win StarCraft 2 just playing defensive. There are some games like that, sure, but I don't think this is going to be one of them. At some point, like whether it's through this Warp Prism or whether it's through Force Fields, Zest needs a really good engagement. But there's so many Hydras out now. Like, those Immortals are no longer the OP, like, I destroyed all the roaches that they used to be.
Well, that's true. I think that's, well, Stats was playing like this, and, 2 days ago, as well as I think in the GSL as well. Like, I don't mind if the Protoss idea is to just weather the storm and eventually win, because that's, that's been their motto in the past, and they're not all-inning. Am I right, guys?
Storms,
yeah, exactly. But I think your point is somewhere like, they can't take bad fights and expect to continue to survive in this game, or only be on the defensive and slowly lose out. Because if Solar is expanding all over the place and Zest is not doing any damage, then sure, it'll be tough. But if Zest can take a safe forward the base and he can safely get up to a Stargate and safely go to like a Tempest build, like then Solar's the one that's in trouble.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing I want to bring up too. Like, I'm not saying like, oh my god, Zest's like, he's playing so bad because he's not attacking, but it is one of those things where like, because he's not attacking, Solar might run away with the map. And we'll see if Solar recognizes that opportunity or not. He's actually moving towards Lurkers, and he's going for the fight. Once again, Zest can take a pretty good defensive fight. There's terrain on Paladino Terminal that helps him. He's got pylons, of course, for the overcharges, and a pretty wide concave of a very strong set of units. I mean, there's Immortals everywhere you look.
The only danger are these units right here, I think, because they're kind of in the most awkward position. And I think that having the opposite wall off would have been better. Those guys just kind of snuck in the hole in the wall. But now Solar's the one that's trapped in here and could lose a lot of army if he doesn't control it, right?
That's the thing about Paladino Terminal. We've talked about this before, though. Like, the attacker seems to get trapped more often than get gains from attacks like this. And okay, Solar actually traded out for a lot of stock. There's Zest now in the hole for quite a few minerals lost, but the Immortals, I think, all stand. Did one even die? One single Immortal died through all of that. That was a whole army out of Solar. Now as he reels back, he's making 35 Hydras. There's no buffer for these. Hydras are amazing units, but they need something. Lings, roaches, anything in front of them.
Yeah, a couple of Lings. Like, well, a drone pool could do the same thing, too. So that the Hydras might be cool enough, but the Link on top, I don't know, this little bull.
That is so many Hydralists, though. I mean, this isn't fighting a small amount, but I still don't know if it's going to be enough. I think Zest had too big of a snowball off of that defensive engagement, and even with +2 weapons, Solar can't break the army. GG.
Damn. That's the other thing about Paladino. Oh, well, that timed it so well.
That was a perfectly timed set of collapse.
But yeah, like that's the other thing about Paladino Terminal. Not only is that like the really awkward little pillar in the natural that made that engagement so awkward by Solar, it's that if you mess up, it's like ZVZ. The counterattack is so quick that I think in the other map, like Cactus Valley, Solar not only gets 25 Hydras, he probably gets like 10 Roaches, and he probably is fine. But man, Paladino is instantly like Venus Flytrap, attack back. Yeah. That's not very. Oh, I see what he did there.
What?
You read this one.
I will in a second. Sorry, I was just going to mention, too, Jake just put out a tweet where Stats is chilling now at the BaseTradeTV house. It's actually a really awesome picture. I'll put this on stream. You guys should retweet this, of course, but it's got Scarlet in the forefront with her wonderful hair, of course. And, yeah, I guess Stats and Leenock and the Time, Cloudy and Major and just the whole house hanging out, which is cool. Yeah, so they are running a 24-hour stream in tandem to this, so if you guys aren't already multi-monitoring it up, you probably should. Want to start? Well, of course, we want to support those guys best we can. The whole passion project that is the Foreigner House. But let's read that donation before we get into the game. Zestu, take my energy. $6.90. I'm actually a big fan of Solar as well, and Beyond, so this group is going to be a roller coaster for me. Still, though, I would like to make it clear that I would... Thank you for the warnings. He would perform fallacious activity towards one of the players named Zest anywhere. Ace Lude. I cleaned it up a bit. I took the prognosticator approach, and I went for bigger words.
Good job.
Prognosticator, you proud of me, senpai?
Oh,
Prognosticating alligator is apparently what his name means, too. Interesting.
Well, the more we know.
Well, speaking of the game, ladies and gentlemen, map number 2 in this best of 3. Remember, the winner goes on to fight against Beyond, the loser falls to fight against Keen. We still have 3 more best of 3s after this, because this is the Korean group for the TING Open. In the bottom left, we do have the pink Protoss. It's none other than Zest.
Pretty. The bottom right is the blue Zerg. He is Solar.
I don't think so, but is Zest on a team right now?
No. Zest, Innovation, Yol are all teamless. Dark is teamless too.
Oh, it feels bad, man.
Huh. They, some of them probably are okay living with their prize money.
Yeah, actually, again, I've been talking to some of these guys too. It's not even about the prize money. They just, some of the players have legit been more than happy, like elated even, just to be living at home with their parents to take care of them, not have to do chores around the house. Like, I guess it's such a silly thing, but it is probably like a bit of a vacation for these guys. A lot of us and the rest of the world, myself included in this one, can't wait to get away from certain people that you live with. But I guess for these guys, it's nice to go back home after the team house for years.
Yeah, the more I think about it too, the more I realize just how beneficial the Korean system is to pro gamers, especially those that aren't salaried, I guess, is the better way to put it. Like, I feel for anywhere else except Korea, getting like a huge amount of prize money one time is still a dangerous thing to depend on. You know, like you could maybe never again win a huge amount of money, and could just be like spending it every month, right? But in Korea with the key money system, if you win $100,000 once, SOS, and you put like a down payment or the security money in like the form of like $20,000, $30,000, your rent is like super cheap, and you get the money back too. So like I think it's probably more beneficial for them. That's what I imagine Innovation did, for instance, because I'm pretty sure he's living alone, just from like background of the stream basically. But I can imagine he just used those prize money and was like, I can live very securely now. And he's a robot too, so.
I can see that. We got, by the way, normally this wouldn't be an ad spot for Corsair, but as we mentioned, the TING finals are going to be taking place at Corsair. So quickly mentioning Kitty the Neko in chat, who has been diligently building a computer through combination stream and Twitter over the last couple of weeks, says, isn't there a promo code on Corsair for BaseTradeTV? I'm trying to buy a keyboard and a mouse and a pad, blah, 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 but it says the code base is invalid. There's no codes available yet. I think there's only one partner with Corsair that actually has codes at all. They're still testing the system. But the links below are now affiliate links, and it's going to work the same way. Like, if you click one of the links and then navigate the site to find something else you want to buy, we'll still get credit for it. And now, because we're officially affiliates, we'll get a percentage of the purchase, which is great. So, unfortunately, I don't have a discount code for you anytime soon, Kitty, but if you guys are going to buy Corsair Gear, make sure to do it through our links so that we get some of the money back from it.
Moolah. Like it.
Okay, so Resonating Glaives again, by the way. I mean, I'm already a fan of Zest playing different. I was so bored of the DT style, even though sometimes it was pretty hype, watching him dive a Spore Crawler. It was also a build that was kind of risky, and I wasn't a super fan of that. However, the Adepts, I think, have got a lot more solidarity to them. While the Harassment flopped terribly in game number 1, he didn't do much with that. It did give him a nice enough standing army that let him get to the mid-game, which then let him get to the Immortal count, which let him get to the Blink Stalkers and overwhelm Solar at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm. Zest played out a Patience Protoss play style alliteration, and it worked. You know, eventually somebody did overcommit on such a small map that, which could have maybe been only a tiny overcommittal on the other map, a bigger map, turned out to be game-ending mistake. So I imagine it's the same way he's going to play here. I don't think he's going to necessarily like dedicate more to his Resonating Glaives or be more aggressive in the mid game. Like simple pokes, prods, scouts, taking the safe road is the way to go, it seems, for a lot of Protosses in this matchup, which is, I know I mentioned is Zest the cheesy Zest today, and I was mostly just talking about the 2 Terrans being in his group. because that's been the real mark of a good Protoss lately is can they take on Terrans. But this is the matchup where it's kind of the opposite. It's not about cheese. I would say that more Protosses are just trying to be the safe, calm Protoss that I can enjoy when you really see the beauty behind macro, but maybe isn't as explosive to and as interesting as other times, like Supreme Cheese.
Looking for a man who can teach me to love the way of this race. It's
Yeah,
a little bit
basically.
steamy. I mean, Valentine's Day's coming up, Zombie Grub. Those hormones are running wild.
Hey, yeah, exactly. When Valentine's Day comes, my hormones just like, what? Valentine's Day? Oh
Yeah,
my god.
you're the classic cliche. It's 4 years I've had to deal with this,
I'm
guys.
so worried about not having a boyfriend for Valentine's Day with me. Oh, so I'll make a
Actually-
movie out of my life.
My friends went and bought 50 Shades of Grey for Valentine's Day, like the movie, and I couldn't help but think, like, this is one of those ones you should download. Like, don't go to the store for this.
Don't give them money.
All right. By the way, Warp Prism will quickly pick this up, and once again, we're not seeing something super effective out of Zest, but this happened last game, and it will happen again this one, where it puts that just barely enough of a threat that Solar has to leave units at home, and he can't reach out and go surround the third base with Lings and get a possible cancel. He has to keep everything at home to defend against this.
Solar might not mind so much leaving all his army back at home. Like, this is not Paladin and Terminal game where he had a bit of an aggressive Roach Ravager attack, and then he got aggressive with Hydralisks. Solar, first of all, got a faster fourth base and faster drone up. That meant that Zest also had a safer third base, but whatever. And then he's also getting Mutas and going for Ling upgrades with Banelings. So a bit of a different composition. The Mutas should not be more than 12, I want to say. But if he does, that is something that I think is going to trick up Protosses in the next month or two. Because right now, Protosses are kind of calling the bluff and saying, I'm not going to make a bunch of Phoenixes. You're just going to make them to deal with the Warp Prism. But I feel like occasionally that's going to kill him. This is interesting, though. This is not a lot of army units, and it's not backed by a lot of anything. No upgrades and no +1. But Zest has to take it seriously with those force fields and has to reposition his units. Or Solar had to take it seriously.
All right, so this attack, again, not doing much, but the counterattack is scary. I mean, okay, you just mentioned it's not a lot of units, and it's still the case here even for the defense, but the advantage of an overcharge paired up with force fields is crazy compared to just what was barely going to be force fields on that front line. A couple Ravagers might break said force fields, but that's why I think Solar's going to disengage, because he knows there's not enough army to really follow through. If you got to use your Ravagers on the force fields, you're really losing out on a lot of potential damage on that back line. And of course, I think every Zerg player would much rather hit like a sentry with a corrosive bile than their force field.
You're the pleasant little popping station, right? I don't know what it is about sentries and their pop factor, but like when they're fungled repeatedly, I think they're the best thing to watch die.
I guess they are the popcorn of StarCraft 2. Actually, if you did it right too,
Sure.
like if you hallucinated something big as the sentry died, it would totally look like it was a kernel popping.
I was gonna make a joke about Colonel and like
Kernel
ranking-
popping, salute.
But I didn't. Anyway, so like I said, no more than 12 mutas is actually just 5. That's not even enough to, I think, ward off
Well-
the Prism.
I mean, it is still no more than 12, so.
Yeah, I was still right, but I thought it would be at least 8, basically.
Oh,
And,
good.
nope.
I'm glad that you recognized that you were still right. That was the important part of that.
Yeah, of course. It's the important part of anything.
By the way, Bailey Speed will be finishing up shortly, so I like that he's gone a different direction with this. Solar, if you guys were kind of watching the back end, I think he was aiming for lurkers, never quite got there before. This time around, so many Banelings, so many Zerglings, and it's the same problem as before. Like, there's not Zealots and Adepts flooding the army here, but Banelings just do so much damage if they can hit more than 3 units. Doesn't matter what type of unit it is. It's going to be a lot of cost-effective damage. He rolls on in. The force fields are pretty nice. Oh, he completely denies the Banelings, but the Archons actually end up breaking the force fields, allowing the Banelings in. A bit of an awkward move, merging those on the front line.
I love the maneuver to save as many probes as possible. Splits the remaining ones, too, to soak as many Banelings as possible, and this might not be so bad.
Oh.
3 more Banelings. Corsair Biles take out a couple more Stalkers. Really wish that didn't happen.
He did kill Zest's army supply pretty hardcore, and with more
Yes.
Lings flooding across the map, and especially because they got melee upgrades behind them, this looks pretty good to possibly even deny the third. Picking up that Warp Prism was huge, but oh, making more Banelings is even bigger. I can't get over it. Zest had nailed those force fields. Those are perfect Baneling deny force fields, and making the Archon on top of one of them was the biggest mistake he could have done. That did the job for Solar. It broke the force field for him.
Yeah, that could have been a much easier defense the second go round, but Zest still has a chance to defend. It's really not looking so great though when the fact that it is Ling Ravager, or Ling Baneling rather.
Oh.
It's like the numbers he can't really deal with, but just have strong units.
I don't actually know if using the Banelings on the probes is worth it at this point. Maybe it actually been better just throw this right into the cannon, right into the pylons. GG. Solar not going to go down without a fight. Gets a tied up series now, 1-1. But of course, for us guys, this time's out well for a 2-minute break, so please stick around, and we'll see you guys for game number 3 to see who goes on to fight against Beyond and who falls to fight against Keen when we return. As you guys hear some clickety-clackety of that keyboard, that's just because we're hopping directly into game, so not going to waste any time getting into this third and final match. Again, this is the preliminary. You guys don't have to worry about players getting eliminated just yet, but that will be coming shortly after. As we do, of course, do the losers match first in our BaseTradeTV style of groups, so one of these guys will fight against Keen in the next best of 3. Thank you, Papa Mitch, for hitting us up with the 33-month resub. By the way, says thanks for everything you do for this game. With love, I hope you guys have a great year. Thank you. I hope you're doing well as well. I guess terrible way to speak there. But moving along in the top right, it's going to be Splice's Red Zerg player, Solar.
It's a good thing our jobs don't revolve around being able to enunciate and, communicate clearly the situation. In the bottom right is the pink Protoss. He is Zest.
I find it strange you would say that, because that's exactly what our jobs entail.
Are you, is this a thing called, like, sarcasm? I've heard about this.
Listen to the royal voice.
Wow.
Okay, well, regardless of the silly, terrible jokes to start off this cast, I do want to talk about that actually really quick. With that resub especially, well, not that, sorry, the Papa Mitch thing. Because I know that for those watching YouTube, a lot of you guys miss out on the live content, which kind of sucks. We have a lot more fun live chat, certainly, than we do YouTube comments. But if you guys do ever get the opportunity, make sure you do try to stop by live sometime. It's a very different experience. And I think some of the folks who do leave some of the more negative comments and get upset about things from chat probably have a better time if they had, like, 2,000 other people they could discuss StarCraft with at the same time. I mean, I'm not trying to single anyone out, and this is not at all like a whiny thing. It's just I feel a little bit bad because it is a completely different experience. And when we put these up on YouTube, people leave comments like upset that we do shout outs, or they don't see some of the stuff we're referring to back in chat. And I get that, and I hear that, and I empathize, but our goal is Twitch, not YouTube. So unfortunately, we do have priorities in that regard.
When I used to put YouTube VODs in the background, it's like back when YouTube was a thing, remember, guys? I kind of liked it though. I don't know what it made it feel like a live experience, I guess. Especially if at least it was not super intrusive and super boring. Like, I feel like we're usually pretty, like, quick about it, or if there is something to talk about, it's usually funny enough that it's not so bad. So basically, you guys on YouTube need to just go ahead and get over it. Talking to you.
That went from, like, Rifkin being very kind and caring and just explaining that we're considerate to Zombie Hope saying, "Walk it off, kids!
Walk it off."
Walk it off. All right, well, regardless of that, Zest is going for the Twilight Council again, and my question is still that tentative, like, will it maybe still be the Dark Shrine? I think if it's Resonating Glaives, this locks it in for me. Zest can only play one style at a time, and his robot brain doesn't have enough RAM for more, I guess, or I don't know, but, like,
I
don't think this is bad, but it's just strange to watch in both of these games. The most these adepts accomplished, excuse me, is threatening Solar a little bit and keeping him scared to do all in.
I'm not gonna drunk. Oh, hot scale on 10, baby.
That echo. Thank you, Kitty the Echo. Kitty the Echo. I'll get to that. I'll read that out in a second, but I was just finishing my point where I'm saying the adepts haven't really been destroying drone lines. They haven't really done much other than keep Solar from all-inning, basically, and Solar hasn't been really all-inning, like, at all.
No, dedicated pressure, I suppose, is the PC term for it.
Okay, no regret.
The Mona Lisa of pressure. No. Well, I think about, like, the first game, right, with the Roach Ravager, and then Zest dedication to the adepts, which wasn't, really a dedication, like 7 adepts being sacrifice. At least if they buy some time, it's usually okay. But this is interesting. So I think why, Zest is doing it, right, is because a lot of Protosses are going more to the macro games again versus Zerg, like really trying to play it out entirely and thoroughly. But it also allows you to, I guess, add on a couple of different variations, post the Adept stage, and Double Stargate is one of them.
I want for Zest so badly, not even to go carriers. I want to see Mass Void Race in the depths or something really stupid and gross, but Solar has grown wise to Zest's tricks, and rather than having a couple of roaches ready and available, he's gone for Banelings and Lings.
If he knew it was Double Stargates, which he's about to see, he might just, he could have just made Lings and counterattack, because his Banelings are already done. They could have bust down the Adepts that's there, and
he's not gonna
definitely
see it.
No third base.
Okay, he sees one of the Stargates. If he confirms the second one with his Overlord, there we go. That might trigger Solar to go for an all-in, and this is going to be the irony of me saying that Zest has done a good job preventing this for so long. Solar might play ultra defensive, though, is the other part of this. It's a little bit worrisome. Like, you end up joining extra hard to anticipate losses. You put down a lot of Spore Crawlers, take a fourth base even. But I think for him, aggression would be the key here. And if he had a full surround on this third, what's there going to be to defend? But 6 Adepts and 2 Phoenix that can lift up at most 4 Lings, right? Like, they're not going to have the energy for more than that.
I really think that if he had scouted him immediately, he still might have gone for the drones, right? Like, it doesn't mean it's the only thing he can do, but a Ling attack, counterattack, after just demolishing the Adept push can really do a lot of damage. But the game is going to go into a macro game, and Solar's just going to try and take advantage of the harassments that Phoenixes give, not, game-ending potential.
Yeah,
unless they really go Overlords.
I don't feel like what Solar's doing is necessarily a bad move or anything like that, but it is one of those things where of the 2 options, we're going to have to ask, was this the better one?
It's one that Zest definitely prefers, I think. There's really no complications with his third base being taken. He even has more depths to try and really attack here, attack there, that whole deal. I love that Solar's rallied to a Spore Crawler, so his Banelings have less risk of being picked up, but as he chases the Adepts, they're picked up on the way. Lings still kind of get somewhat of a surround, but there's not enough Lings. The Banelings are split against. The Phoenixes, well, they can start lifting up the drones. I mean, at this number, they can start lifting up something, and yeah, even with Spore Crawlers on the ground, it might be worth killing it.
Well, the drone numbers haven't really gone down too badly yet. The Adepts are certainly a little bit scary because they survived the first set of Banelings, and I thought, oh no, suddenly Solar's not going to have anything to defend against this, but with a big wave of Lings coming out, the Adepts back away. But, oh, they get caught!
Well, not in the worst position possible, but yeah, there's just a lot of Lings. Really sucks that Solar was not yet on +1 for this. That could have really helped. That was nice timing with Zest.
So a bit of off-topicness, because it's an interesting off-topic. Someone in chat was asking what's the highest viewership BaseTradeTV's ever had. And I want to say, I think it was 23,000 concurrent viewers. And that was one of the Dream Hacks had severe technical problems, so we ended up being the only stream for about 2 hours. So Blizzard even put us in the in-game launcher, or the in-game login screen, or whatever that is you want to call it. So it's really cool. And yeah, we got a super hype amount of viewers from it. And I thought it was a pretty good cast, too. It's good times.
Yeah. It was good times. The Hydralisk should be out soon enough in high enough numbers. That was a bit of a mistake there. Zest is adding on +1 to his Phoenixes, and I gotta imagine it's gonna transfer into something a little bit more his Phoenixes in due time.
I agree, but there's this funny logic here, where he might not jump towards, say, carriers. You have enough Phoenix, even the Hydra count, you just eventually lift them all up, right? Just come in and shift Q Graviton beams or something, but the Hydra count not quite high enough to be that scary yet. It is the Spore Crawler and a bit of complacency that's actually costing Zest some of these Phoenix, but I think the scary thing about Phoenix, though, especially with how deep he's gone with them, this really approaches all-in territory. Because either you've got so many Phoenix in the sky, you actually don't have enough to fight stuff on the ground like Ling Floods, or alternatively, you've spent so much on the Phoenix, losing them, suddenly you realize, oh, I don't actually have 14 gateways. I don't have double Robo. And in fact, he's investing in it. This is going to be a Sky Toss game, but it's weird that he's sticking at just Phoenix. Because again, it's something that can work, but I think it's the riskier move of all the options.
Yeah.
Especially when things like this happen. Oh, no!
That's pretty devastating, but I think he was, he realized, wow, this is really nothing but Hydralisk, and if I can catch Solar without any Banelings as he's spending all his money on Hydralisk, then my Adepts and the Phoenixes combined could actually win this game. The Adepts try and get on top of all the Hydralisks. They end up getting kind of surrounded regardless, so it's not the perfect engagement for Zest.
He cleans
but
up
his
the
units might
Adepts,
just be
though.
too good.
I mean, okay, the Hydra count's not so overwhelming that the Phoenix can get riggedy wrecked anymore, but he dealt with the Adepts pretty quickly, and normally it's actually the, like, anytime it's Skytoss, whether it's Carriers, whether it's Phoenix, it's usually the Adepts that run through and run away with the game. So Zest ends up disengaging with Phoenix that are almost completely out of energy, a lot of them dead. In fact, he's lost 7 so far, and I guess actually you look at this tab, and this is like, hey, Protoss is a pretty nice race, right? But trading out with the Adepts so far pretty evenly, pretty nicely, is probably the best thing Solar's got going for him.
I mean, the only concern for Zest was that he did not have a 4th base, so like the risk of him doing another huge warp into the Adepts and just all-inning and it not quite working was there. But he does take a 4th base in an aggressive position, which I didn't expect based off the competition he's going for.
Solar's also not scouted the 3rd base on either location, so he doesn't know what the 4th on top of that. So there's going to be some guesswork as to what's happening in this game, but boy, he's been just wrecking the Hydras. At this point, I don't even know if Hydras are worth making.
Yeah, I don't know. They really were supposed to clump up at some point, protected by the Spore Crawler too, but it's not quite working. It's actually a little bit worrying. So Zest still committing to Phoenixes, even getting their +1 armor now. Never got anything for his Adepts, and I guess that's the one thing that was missing out of his composition. The Adepts as an Englaive are still pretty good, but they do not have +1.
Hey, that's
Or cannons.
Let's picks off a couple more of the Phoenix, but not quite worth it. I gotta be honest, with the amount of Hydras lost at this point, 55, I can only imagine trying to throw down something desperate like an Infestation Pit and getting some Infestors out would have been more worth it. Or I don't even know, but just like the Hydras have been Solar just hemorrhaging money more than anything else. I mean, there's no counterattacks going on, save but 1 Ling. You epic hero, you.
Use a hero.
What was
Look at the units lost. Like, not resources lost, but the actual units lost. I don't think it was so bad. 34 Adepts, 12 Phoenixes for 56 Hydras, but that's how expensive Hydras are.
Yeah. I mean, that's where the resources loss comes into play, and that's when you're like, oh, he's doubling
Yeah,
losses.
exactly.
But Zest, by the way, I will stress and continue, has persisted to just make Phoenix. Like, this is not a game where he's transitioning to Carriers. He's not looking for Void Rays. He's on 20 Phoenix, and he's still pumping 2 at a time.
Zest might just run away with this game with the same composition he's been using for the last 6 minutes.
I'm wondering, too, by the way, with Solar constantly getting Lings around the map and into the main, like, I wonder if a Nidus Storm would be an amazing option here or not. Because there's no way he's going to easily walk across the map with all these Phoenix, but getting under them, that's an option.
I don't know. I don't know. The Night Storm was able to fully unload. I think it's fine, but the...
Oh, no.
That's a little weird. But the chances of the Phoenixes respawning when, like, only there's 5, then 6, 7, 8 Hydras is, like, a little too high.
That's very true, actually. It's just a passing thought on like what could possibly be better. But banlings are here. Hopefully not going to get wasted on buildings or probes. He actually needs to keep every single one of those banlings alive to kill Adepts. The Adepts, however, are up to the north and looking to possibly get a kill on this 3rd rather than engage the army. And I think trading out a 3rd for a 4th, Zest will happily take that trade.
I don't think... Well, you can break them eventually, but like the Photon Overcharge is actually going to do some serious damage, and the Banelings are, of course, you know, they're sacrificial, so you can't really, doesn't want to use them on the pylons.
Here we go, though, with the Banelings rolling in. He really wants his Adepts to finish up that transfer. He's got no problem taking care of them if that's the case. Banelings hit both sides, even catching the ones on the backside. Zest! Oh, mistakes are made. He's not even splitting. All the Adepts are gone, but the Phoenixes look like they're more than enough.
Yeah, the Phoenixes.
Phoenix.
Yeah, they're pretty good against Hydras. They just don't usually get in such ridiculous numbers. Or well upgraded. 1-1, man.
All right, well, GG. Zest takes the series 2-1, and we are going to get that Zest versus Beyond finals Rifkin was hoping for. Or not finals, winners match that Rifkin was hoping for. But we did get some subs and donations during that game. We didn't quite get to read properly. So, Kitty the Neko, thank you for the $10, man. Says, I clicked the link and proceeded to check out from there. Hope that gets you credit. Thanks so much for all your advice, Rifkin. And chat, last question. What game should I buy for this bad boy tomorrow?
Well, what games haven't you played that are recent, I guess?
You know, it's not exactly graphics intense. I've really been enjoying H1Z1, though. I'm not sure if that's your cup of tea, Kitty, but I think that's what I recommend, just because I've really been having a lot of fun with that one. But thank you very much. And then, of course, we had New Bell sub for 36 freaking months. Thank you very much. 3 years. Ace Kate. Is that really? That's 3 years? Damn.
Damn.
Time flies. Thank you so much for that long-time support, dude. But as before, guys, between each best of 3, we do have to play a couple of Ting commercials. We'll try and keep the variants up so it's not the same one every single time. This time we'll go to a word from Kyra. Again, thank you for watching as we'll get vetoes sorted. We'll get into this next series as soon as we can, but it's going to be Keen versus Solar when we return. And make sure to, of course, check out bttv.ting.com if you live in the United States. Even if you don't plan to swap to Ting, check it out. Just give them some love for hosting this tournament. And we'll see you guys soon.